Hey guys, please be seated.
So sorry.
Hey guys, most of you probably already know us, but for those of you who don't, I'm Grace McIntire, and this is my best friend, Sauny Sewell.
As you can probably see, we're holding hands because we're a little nervous. Before we get into the homily, we wanted to give an announcement. There's always youth events going on in the Episcopal Diocese, and we have a bulletin board out there in the narthex where all events will be posted in the future.
So, when we first read today's gospel, Kyle had to explain to us that even though we're in the 5th week of Easter, this was happening at the Last Supper. Don't let the gospel fool you. Jesus was talking to the disciples who were scared and angry and nervous, but he met them with nothing but love and kindness. According to John 4:20, his ultimate will for us is to walk in love. For whoever has not loved their brother or sister whom they have seen cannot love God whom they have not seen.
Love your neighbor, love yourself, your enemy, your spouse. Love your friend, love your bus driver, your mailman, your pharmacist. Love everyone, just love. But what does it mean to love? As St. Paul tells us in 1 Corinthians, love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. So it must have an important and complex meaning. Modern society teaches us that there is a right way to love, which skews Jesus' will for mankind. When we were writing this, the first thing that we thought of was an experience we had a few weekends ago at DOI, which is a weekend-long youth retreat sponsored by the diocese at Camp Bratton Green. Throughout the day, there are a plethora of activities planned by members of DOI Council, one of which was philosophy with Phil Peyton Burwell. If you know him, you might not expect this, but he's a philosophy-obsessed genius.
In the activity, we watched YouTube videos that were all based on philosophical topics, one of which was called True Love Explained by Abraham Twersky. In the video, he explains that love is often twisted into a selfish act. He says that even when people love someone, they are often acting out of self-interest or what is best for themselves. Hypothetically, if two people fall in love, one may have fallen in love with the idea of the other and the hope that they may be able to fulfill his desires. This is an example of what he refers to as fish love. He further explains this metaphor by giving the example of a person eating a fish, and when asked why he's eating it, he replies, "Because I love fish." But that's not true. If he did love the fish, he wouldn't have taken it out of the water and boiled it. In reality, he loved himself and the way the fish tasted to him. His love was based on self-interest. True love isn't about selfishness, but rather it's about giving. There's a common misconception that you give to those whom you love, but actually, you love those to whom you give. If you give something to someone, you've invested in them by giving them a part of you. Since everyone is self-interested in some way, that must mean that you then love to those to whom you give. If these things are true, then real love is the act of giving rather than receiving, as Jesus preached.
We have been so blessed to experience this type of love from our Episcopal communities, such as school, happening, camp, and church. For those of you that don't know, Happening is a weekend spiritual retreat sponsored by the diocese that is filled with great food, even better people, and lots of self-reflection. It's for high schoolers 10th grade and up, but adults are encouraged to attend as well, so hopefully we'll see a lot of you there next year. Happening was a life-changing experience for us both, and we were so lucky to experience it together. This weekend brought us so much closer, not only to each other, but also to our faith, and showed us the epitome of what it means to love. This experience led us closer to God, which in turn allowed us to see the unconditional love that this church has shown us.
Our friendship began 17 years ago at the back of this church when we were baptized together. We were only 7 months old, and now, 17 years later, here we are again. At our baptism, the congregation, which many of you are still here, vowed to seek and serve Christ in all persons, loving your neighbor as yourself. And ever since that day, the Episcopal Church has shown us nothing but acceptance and kindness, which we are all blessed to experience. Being a part of these communities and witnessing God's love firsthand has been an incredibly transformative experience for both of us and has molded us into the people that we are today.
In a world full of so much hate, it is so very comforting to be able to share this love with my church community. The Episcopal Church radiates love and positivity just as Jesus wanted. Go out into the world and give that superficial fish love. Invest yourselves in loving others and caring for each person you meet, and let all that you do be done in love. Amen.